Nathan Bryon is an award-winning writer and actor who has written for many BAFTA award-winning children's TV shows, including the critically acclaimed Rastamouse. For his debut picture book, Look Up, he has teamed up with Dapo Adeola, a young illustrator and character designer who is also new to the picture book world. Dapo's work revolves around creating characters and imagery that challenge gender norms and equality politics in a fun and upbeat manner. He also runs illustration and character design-based workshops with children to help highlight the possibilities of a career in illustration to inner-city children. The duo met recently with Nikki to talk about their journey into the world of children's publishing.
So one of the first things I thought we could do is just set up the book for our listeners and tell them a little bit about it. So I don't know who'd like to take the lead on that. Nathan, would you like to give it a go?
So Look Up is Dapo and I's baby. It's like one of the...
love child.
Yeah, I love child. It's something we've worked so hard on together. And I think the book is about a little girl called Rocket and her brother Jamal. And she is trying to get her brother Jamal to look up from his mobile phone to see a beautiful meteor that she believes is coming to come over the night sky. And for me, it's a book about being present, and it's a book about being in the moment. And Rocket is all about the moment and now. And she isn't interested in technology and the games and all that. She is interested in the stars. She's interested in looking up. And she wants her brother, who's sort of almost like her best friend, to do the same.
Fantastic. I wondered, would you be prepared to read the beginning of it?
Sure. Every night before bed, I sit up my telescope and look up at the stars. Mum tells me that I never stop looking up and my head's always floating in the clouds. But she can't tell me that I look up more than my big brother Jamal looks down at his silly phone. Jamal says I'm called Rocket because I've got fiery breath. But Mum says it's because a famous rocket blasted off into space that day I was born. All I know is that one day I'm going to be the greatest astronaut, star catcher, space traveller who has ever lived. Like Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman in space. Did you know Mae Jemison went into orbit around Earth in the Space Shuttle Endeavour, even though she's scared of heights? Yes.
Wow, do you know I hadn't heard of Mae Jemison until I read your book?
She is incredible.
So had you heard of her before the idea for the book came about?
Yeah, I think I saw her pop up on Big Bang Theory, the really great sitcom, and also I'd seen Hidden Figures, the movie, and whilst I don't believe she's mentioned in that, or she might be, but just doing research, you realise how just incredible she is, and she felt like really appropriate to kind of, making her book.
And Afraid of Heights as well, I understand. My goodness me, going up into space and Afraid of Heights.
I mean, that's just wild.
Yeah.
I mean, but then maybe it works. I don't know what you think, but maybe it works that when you go so high, it's no longer, you can't fall. Like, if you're going to fall from space, it's deep.
So I think it's a different perspective when you're in space, because you're not sort of looking at, you're not looking at the ground, if that makes any sense. You're looking at the whole planet.
Yeah.
So I think that might, not be the same. I think going up might have been terrifying, but once she's up there,
And somebody else has control of it. So
exactly.
I think that's the...
And I feel, I've never been to space myself, but I can imagine that sort of looking from outside of a spaceship at the planet is sort of different from looking at the ground from a 90-story building.
Absolutely.
Like you get a grander scale of things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I can imagine your horizons broadening vastly as you're looking at the planet.
Oh yeah, literally as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I think you'd be thinking about other things.
I have got to ask you about the collaboration, because I don't know if you know, it's very unusual for a book to be created by a writer and an illustrator and then presented for publication. It might have seemed a very natural process, but I think that's true. So tell us a bit about how that came to be.
Nathan and I have known each other since 2010, I believe. Our initial sort of partnership came about with another idea of Nathan's, where he asked me to design the characters for an animation pitch that he wanted to do. I designed the characters, I had such fun creating the characters that he had come up with. That's another project that's ongoing at the moment, and off the back of that we started a friendship, and we just sort of kept tabs on each other's progress over the years. Nathan has gone on to become a very, very great screenwriter for CBBC, and also a equally great actor as well, and I've gone on to flourish within
I think he likes you.
Yeah, nice. I like him.
on to you know, flourish and get better at what I do. So I'm primarily a character designer, and I'm learning illustration as well. I'm self-taught in all the things that I do. So I'm learning how to sort of create worlds and create characters and then flesh them out some more and create the worlds they inhabit. So Nathan approached me in 2015 after my first show. I had my first show in Brixton and it went really well. And he approached me and he was like, "Dad's got this idea for a character, for a picture book. It's a little girl, little black girl, loves space, big hair, glasses." That was the brief. And I went away and I thought, "Ooh, okay, this is fun." So went away, took the character. He sent me visual reference, you know, pictures of Mae Jameson and other people that, you know, he had in mind and all this. So I just took all the pictures and I put everything together. And then I based her energy, if you will, off my niece, one of my nieces. And my niece is a very curious person, like just really, really curious. And I love that about her. So I tried to infuse Rocket with that kind of energy. I wanted a character who her presence jumps off the page at you without any text at all. Like, and you know, her gestures, just the way that she is, everything just jumps off the page. And I think, fingers crossed, I think I managed to do that quite successfully. Because we did this. Then what happened next? Nathan was with he is with an agency. Is it your talent agency? Your acting agency? So he's with talent agency. They merged with a literary agent, and Nathan presented it to the literary arm of the agency. And Sally Ann, who's our agent, saw it. She asked me to come in. Came in. At the time, I had no knowledge of how any of this works. I wasn't even looking to get into publishing, if I'm going to be honest with you. The plan was to self-publish something at some point down the line when I get better. So here we are. Sally Ann's asked me to come in. I've signed up to the agency, and she's taken our book pitch out to Bologna, and everything just went crazy after that. Like, really, really crazy. And, you know, it's been such a ride up until this point. It's been almost 2 years now, I think.
Oh, no.
Yeah, almost
wild.
2 years now, up until from Bologna to now. 2017 Bologna is when we went out, and I think June 2017 is when we signed with Penguin, or July, and our book is due out June this year. So it's 2 years.
Fabulous.
Like to the month.
Yeah.
And
takes quite a long time, doesn't it?
It does, but you know what? A lot has happened in that time.
Has happened,
like so much has happened in that time, and that's the short story of
Yeah.
how it all
Really?
came about.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just, before we leave that completely, when you say you're a character developer, what do you normally develop characters for?
Anything.
Right.
Absolutely anything. So characters that I've designed can range from books, animation, logo, branding characters, just anything really.
Right.
Like, and one of the best things I love doing is designing characters from either inanimate objects or animals.
Right.
Like, so again, it's about infusing something with personality so that you can look at it and you get an idea of who that thing is. Do you know what I mean? And it's about basing the characters on things that you encounter in everyday life, like familiar facial expressions, gestures, movements. So you know, just getting that cockiness or whatever attitude you want to get across, like infusing a character with that. Like, it's so much fun.
So one of the things that I really appreciated in the book, I mean, obviously Rocket is a wonderful, dynamic, she's like her name, character. But I also appreciated that the minor characters felt like they had stories. Even on the page where you've got the street scene and everybody's looking at their phones. As I was looking at that spread, I thought every single one of them I felt had a story to tell.
With that, so again, I'm still learning how to do this. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm not great, I'll be honest, I'll tell you all my weak points right now. I'm not great at drawing scenes with multiple characters, so I'm really touched that you got that from that, because it was an effort to make sure that was the case. I can draw a narrative around one character, maybe two, maybe three, but to have anything plus on the page at the same time, it's difficult to sort of get everybody to stand out individually and also engage and interact with what's going on around them. We've got the second book that we're working on now, and I'm having the most fun. And I use that term quite loosely because it's dreadful. Like, I'm drawing scenes with loads and loads of people and crowds, and it's just trying to sort of figure out that energy balance between everybody, so no one person is dominating the main character. So it's all of these things that come into play that people don't necessarily think about when they're looking at the book. It's just, oh, this works, and that's it. So,
but isn't that when it's most exciting for us? Is when it's not what we usually do, and we're just pushing ourselves into
100%
beyond the
territory.
comfort zone.
Yeah, 100%. I have not been in my comfort zone for close to a year, so this is it's been fun.
Yeah.
I even twitch a little bit in my left eye, but it's fun. Again, it's been such growth in terms of what I've done. I'd never done a spread like this before, ever.
Yeah.
Like backgrounds, I'd happily draw all my characters on white backgrounds, but that luxury has been taken away from me, and now I'm drawing colourful backgrounds, and I'm learning so much. Like it's brilliant. Yeah.
I want to talk about the writing too, but as you've mentioned backgrounds, it was one of the things that I wanted to pick up, because I've read your comment about feeling uncomfortable about environments, and I couldn't see it in the work. So, you know, you've obviously done a good job there, but I wondered what it was that you weren't happy about. Why do you say that?
It's not so much to do with happiness, it's to do with the way that I explain it to people. It's I didn't have a formal education in illustration. I didn't learn anything from school, so everything has been pieced together. And where I've focused on one element of things in terms of drawing the characters and getting all this personality, and I can do that, I neglected backgrounds, if I'm going to be honest with you. And here we are, we've landed this book deal, and I have to draw backgrounds. So it was a short learning curve that had to be applied to this. And I'll be honest with you, I exhausted my entire bag of tricks on this one book. So with the second book that we've got coming out, I am trying to find a nice balance, because I do want it to feel different to book one, because it is a different book. It's you know, I don't want to give away too much, but it is set somewhere else. So I want to give that feeling that we've gone somewhere else for this book. And again, still working on it, still trying to get it right. It's still touch and go at the moment, because we are in the draft stages, but I'm hoping that by the time we get to the finished book, the difference is clear. But it's perspective is I did a short course yesterday on perspective. It's hard, it's not easy at all. Like it's quite difficult, but I think it's one of those things that once you do it enough, it snaps and you get it. And
I think these are really important things to express, you know, because children often think that these things happen by magic, but actually there's quite a lot of work and endeavour that goes on behind that. There's a very famous children's illustrator called Tony Ross, you probably know. He illustrated Horrid Henry. You know, he's very prolific, and even with his art training and his background, he says there are things that I can't draw. I can't draw horses, so if I ever have to draw a horse, it's always coming from behind a hill, so you only ever see its head.
So this is the thing. So you say children think it's magic. I think adults think it's magic. Quite a lot of adults, a surprising amount of adults, think that illustration is easy, and if you can draw, that's all that matters. And it's not. Because like you say, Tony Ross, very successful illustrator, but he can't draw horses. And we all have things that are in our comfort zones that we make look easy. So that way it looks like magic. Characters is my comfort zone. It looks like magic when I come up with a character. Ask me to draw a bloody horse. Or ask me to draw a scene. And you'll see, you know, and again, it might be a thing where, like, to the untrained eye, it still looks good. But to the trained eye, you can see where, you know, the cracks are in terms of my talent. But again, I mean, the thing that I had to kind of let go of was trying to be perfect the first time around. My first book is not going to be my magnum opus. It's not going to be. I need to learn more, and it just showed me how much more I need to learn. And I'm happy with that.
That's brilliant. Let's turn to the writing, Nathan. And you have written, you know, diverse BAFTA-winning plays and writing for children's TV. I've even watched your YouTube videos.
Research has been done.
Okay.
And then writing for children. So there's quite a lot that I wanted to unpick there. Why actually the children's book, first of all? What was the thinking there?
I think it was new. It was a new thing. I'm really excited by that. And I guess it was something that I spoke to my agent about, and she said, "Oh, you know, you should try and make this into a kids' book." And I've never done one. So I had to just go and do loads of research and read loads of kids' books and work out how they tell stories. And our agent is really, really good. And so I was editing it with her for a while, and she's brilliant. So for me, I guess the passion of kids' books, specifically for Rocket, is I want to see diversity in kids' books. That's incredibly important to me. But also, the stories I want to tell don't necessarily have to be diverse stories, but a character that exists in the world, and she is diverse. So that's a real passion of mine, and that's kind of what led me down this route, I think.
And I also wanted to ask whether the different kinds of writing that you do, whether they inform each other, or whether you see them as separate and distinct and kept in their own box.
Good question. I think my writing, through all the different forms I do, the one thing I've really, even when I've written really dark things, or for sitcom or whatever, the one thing I really make sure is joy. I want joy. I'm not trying to write anything in this world that doesn't have some joy somewhere. So working in picture books it is joy. Like you do have hard times and sad times, and Rocket really goes through it in this book. You know what I mean? There's some moments where imagine feeling like you really believe in something and nobody else does, or people do, and you feel like you're about to let them down. So she goes through it. So for me, in my work, the running theme I like to find is joy and happiness. And I think that's the thread through all of them.
That's interesting, because I wrote down some words that for me it was about the magical in the everyday.
Yes, I love that saying. I love that saying.
So
that's like I find that so important, because whether it be my plays that I'm writing or whatever it is, you observe your surroundings, and that is what I love. I'm from Shepherd's Bush, and like 90% of my stuff, there's a reason it's set. A lot of it in where I'm from, not this book, but a lot where I'm from, because I look at the shops and I look at these things and I love them, and that's magical to me. And I think, I try to do that as much as possible.
Now, some people don't realise just how challenging writing a children's picture book is. It might not have many words in there, but it is an art form in its own right. And I think it's not even like writing a novel, where it doesn't matter where you turn the page in a novel. So what did both of you learn about the process of how children's picture books work through doing this?
For me, writing was really interesting because, word count. So I'm used to writing plays where you can just waffle on, or telly, which you can't waffle on, but you can enjoy. This is under 900 words or something like that. So you're talking, it's not a lot. It's not a lot at all. So every word is accounted for. It's spaced. You've got a team of people who agree that word before it's gone down. I mean, but I think, to be fair, I think I might have done it in 10 drafts, 11 drafts, which sounds like a lot and is kind of a lot. But for me, I was chuffed. Because towards the end, you start changing, like, should we change this to this or this to that? So for me, it was super interesting, but I love it, and I really want to do it for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Did you learn anything about the sequential nature of picture books and how that works?
If I'm going to be honest, nothing new.
Okay.
And I say that because I've more or less been, as Nathan got to learn as soon as we started working on this, I've been collecting picture books for almost a decade, like obsessively almost collecting picture books, like Quentin Blake, Ronald Searle, my favourite illustrators, and just collecting these books. So I know a weird amount, and I say weird because some of this stuff I can go into detail about would make you think, oh, okay, about the relationship between word and pictures. Yeah. Like, I know that, for example, one of the things that I loved doing about this book was pulling things out that weren't necessarily in the text. In the story, we have, like you say, some of the secondary characters that are not mentioned in the text at all. They're doing a lot of amazing things constantly in the book. So I knew about all those things. I
had to learn about that, just so you know. I had to learn. I was the opposite. Just to jump in, I was the complete opposite. I didn't know that. I felt like, oh, well, everything Rocket, because Rocket leads the story, she's first person. I had to learn that she doesn't need to say it. Dapo can just draw it. Right. So that took me a whole time to get round. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
That's
right. So it was a thing. So it was a thing where, like, the stuff that I knew informed what Nathan learned. So for example, I was privy, because this is a collaborative effort. So I was privy to the drafts, and I would be like, okay, you know what? Let's use those words for something else, because you don't need to describe that. So I can just draw that. So just, and it was, for me, it was great to sort of validate the knowledge that I had in this process. Like, it was a real relief, because again, being self-taught, there's nowhere to kind of check that I'm doing the right thing. So A lot of the stuff that went into this book came from books that I had looked at and studied profusely, and I'm so happy that it came across when people were reading the books, because these are all tricks that I've never applied before. You know, it's just the first book, so I'm glad that I managed to put them together quite well. And you know, just from doing the first one, I now know what I can improve on, and there was a lot of things that I did by accident, unintentionally, that going into the second book, hopefully I can repeat intentionally, and you know, control people, excuse the expression, but control people's sort of people's way of looking at the book better, you know, because I think that's what it is. You're supposed to, every picture books, as far as I know, they have a pulse, you know, they go up, they go down, you know, they have a sort of heartbeat to them, and any skillful...
This turn of the page is very important, isn't it?
goodness,
That action.
yeah.
Massively. It has to flow seamlessly from end to end, and any picture book worth its salt, it marries the visuals and the text perfectly, and it just flows.
And when we saw it, the first time we saw it, we both got our copies. Man, I was so proud of us. Joe, when you tried to pat, I was giving myself a pat on the back. I was like, because I know we you know, we're learning everything, and it's all new, and it's all this, but like, you know, as a standalone piece of work, like, I think it's a really important story.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of it.
I wanted to ask you about the first person writing and the fact that there's quite a bit of exposition in there, and that was put into the dialogue in those speech bubbles.
Yes.
Was your story always going to have those bits of exposition in? How did that come
It's
about?
really interesting. Like, it's really, really, really interesting. So I've read loads of books, and I'm really dyslexic. So writing, when I get notes on like first person, to be honest, I think when my agent or Joe got back to me about it, I didn't even know what first person was. I had to like Google and be like, what does this actually mean? Like, and tenses and all that I've really struggled with. So to be honest with you, I don't know if that's, I planned it exactly like that. I think we work with a really great team who have done this for years and made loads of great books. So, you know, I will write and put my heart into that page, and they know best how to kind of lay it out and
bring the best.
bring it back best too. Yeah, I mean, I would hate to say yes, it was planned. And it just wasn't.
Can I just invite each of you to choose a double page spread that you particularly like?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I love all of them. Like, I'm a geek. I've seen this for so many times, but you know what? I think it might be the big one.
So we're quite close to the end of the story here, and it says, "Look up." We've got these crepuscular, twilighty colours, and Rocket and Jamal in the centre, looking up at the sky. Yeah. Why do you love this one?
I love it because, obviously, we've been speaking about the story and going over this for years, and Dapo has put something together that was better than even I imagined. Because I saw loads of things. I'm very visual in how I work, but the great thing with working with Dapo is that I can just allow him to do whatever he wants, and he'll always bring a better visual than what I thought it was going to be. So this page is a joy for me, A, because you can see Rocket's face, and she is wowed. Finally, she gets the comeuppance for what she believes. She gets to feel that everything she's been saying the whole book is true, and her brother is just mind blown. And everyone around is getting that final experience of, you know.
I love the
colours.
circle around, and the fact that they're literally lit up.
Yeah.
But it's also a metaphorical light.
Yeah,
They've seen the light.
They've seen the light, and actually, do you know what I mean? It's about belief, isn't it? And Rocket, the whole book, and I think all the books, is trying to drive people to believe and be present, and this page is her getting her payoff. And also, it's a beautiful page. Look at it, it's nighttime, they're lit, delicious. Yes.
It is. Dapo, go on, what's your...
I toggle between two, and it's this one.
Yeah.
So let's just describe it for people who are listening in. This is fairly near the beginning of the story, and we have Rocket sitting in the lap of her mother. She's doing her hair, and she's thinking. There's a thought bubble there. So And it's the page that's got Mae Jameson on that spread as well. So tell us why this one.
Right, so I love this one because, again, it was an opportunity to give us more insight into the character of this girl, and also have bits and pieces of her engaging and interacting with people. My favourite things about this page are the imagination bubbles that show us a little bit of insight. You know, we've got her as a dragon and the cat, and they're terrorising everybody with their dragon breath. And then just the sort of difference between that, what's happening in the imagination and what's happening in the picture itself. It's brilliant. Like, the cat's there, everybody that's there is there, kind of thing, and they're just doing their thing. And the other one, so it's a toss up between this one and the next one that I'm going to.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's just more character stuff. These were the pages where I feel like I really got to flex my muscles and have fun. Like, I got to draw the character, I got to draw her doing things, I got to really inform her personality before we really start on the journey. And yeah, they're my two favourites.
Oh, that's
What's your
interesting.
favourite? You haven't said.
I thought you might be about to ask me that.
I am.
I like the ones that you've both picked, but I'm just going to choose another one.
Yeah.
And that's with Jamal, the big headshot of Jamal.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
And Rocket is dancing, and I loved the movement of the dance around the
Her
outside
victory
there.
dance,
Yeah.
and I love the yellow colour. Like, yellow is one of my faves.
This is another one of my favourites as well. And the only reason why the other two sort of overlap this one is because they're Rocket focused. I love this page again because it got me to gave me an opportunity to do a composition that I hadn't done before. And again, it's just pages of Rocket engaging with her family, and that thing I said about doing multiple characters, I got to practice doing multiple characters engaging with each other on this as well. And love it. I think this one trumps everything because of the toys.
Yes, there was lots to look at there. I really liked the relationship between Jamal and Rocket. He just felt like a real brother to me. He just wasn't interested, but actually he's taking it in, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he cares about his sister.
I think he goes on a journey with it, you know what I mean? Like, at first he's like, you have nothing to show me, you have nothing to show me. Whoa. And I think that's kind of the start of the journey for the series. He will learn that Rocket is probably the coolest person he knows, do you know what I mean? And I think that's really sweet.
We're looking forward to book 2, which is going to be called
Clean Up.
Clean Up.
Yeah.
Before we leave this completely,
Yes.
setting aside the story and just coming back to the title, Look Up.
Yes.
What does Look Up mean to you?
Oh, you got so many good questions. Look Up means to me... Okay, so it's a message to me. Like, I've actually got the title on my phone screensaver, and someone saw it on my phone the other day, and obviously, I don't think they knew I had a book coming out, which I was that rude. But it's a literal message, isn't it? Every time I'm looking down at this stupid phone, I'm like, I need to look up. Look how beautiful it is today. Imagine walking down the road just staring at your phone. So it's a reminder for me, and hopefully us all, to be present and be actively looking up and seeing the beauty in our world and get off on boring technology.
Dapo, would you add anything to that? What would Look Up mean to you, just as a phrase on its own?
One of the things that I struggle to do, I'll be really honest with you, is to look up, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like, and it's not so much because I'm on any particular device, it's because I'm constantly thinking about the future. Like, constantly thinking about the future. We have a discussion today about something, I'm already planning 3 years ahead as to how we're going to make it happen. So to live in the moment, in the present, I really struggle with that. So this book, this character, this whole adventure is about that. It's about living in the present and taking in what's happening around you. And looking up doesn't necessarily just mean looking up from your device. It also means just living in the present, you know. So that's what look up means to me.
Yeah.
What a fantastic thought to finish on. We all need to live in the present.
Yes.
And we all need to be looking up. Can I just say, Nathan and Dapo, what an absolute pleasure it's been talking to you
Thank
today.
you for having us.
It's
What
been
a
a
treat.
pleasure.